Wonderful. I could just cry. I get to chair the meeting of the first, and welcome David too as we get started. This is our first time together physically, and I cannot say enough how heartwarming it was to give you all hugs. Those of you that have not hugged yet will have a break and get to hug later. So that's all good. But this is such an important day. So from my heart, it's great to see you all. And as we were chatting, we're also here in part in memory to John Moylan, who is one of our own. All good. So it's great that we get to start today. And I would also like to mention and welcome again Mike Hoffman. Many of you will remember his phenomenal presentation on the ferries, right, in Norway that he gave, which I took a copy of, and I'm ever grateful. Any of us, and we all are, who operate fleets in our roles as board members, that was so eye-opening. And everywhere you go, people want to know, what are you doing about electric? It doesn't matter if you drive a cab or a ferry. So thank you for that. Or a car or a bike. Yeah, all good. And I spent $39 on this jacket after Nancy Pelosi had her suit on. So I just want you all to pay attention to that at Columbia Outlet. So that I wore in honor of you guys today as well. And with all of that, it is 9:06. I'm calling to order the committee meeting of the Building and Operating Committee, and I'll ask our dear Amarette and Secretary to do a roll call vote.
Thank you. Welcome, everyone. It's great to see you all. I'm so happy to meet you all in person now.
I know.
I'm going to start with Director Cochran.
There.
Thank you. Director Conroy. Director Parr.
Present.
Director Rabbit.
Here.
Director Thier is absent. Vice Chair Maston.
Here.
Chair Garbarino.
Here.
And President Theriault.
Here.
All right, that's your quorum for B&O, but also we also have Director Grosbull.
Here.
Director Hernandez. Director Hill.
Here.
Director Rodoni.
Here.
And Director Snyder.
Here.
So you are also just a committee of the whole as well. So we have, so that everyone, for the benefit of everyone in the room, General Manager Dennis Mulligan.
Present.
Auditor Controller Joe Wire.
Yes.
Chief Engineer Ava Bauer-Furbish.
Here.
Thank you.
And the back
Kim
one.
Manolius.
Here.
Thank you. And Dave Rivera. Mona Babata is not here, so Hytham Hamden is here in her place. Thank you. And you all heard Mike Hoffman. There you go. And Kelly Hopper is not here. That's right. So unfortunately, the seat in between Dave and Joe would be Kelly Hopper. Then we also have in the back corner there, Elizabeth Eels, just so you know who she is sitting back there. And we have staff here, Ron Downing. And sitting next to Ron is Karen Williams. Good morning. And back there is Thomas Morgan, who's been spamming you all for the last 3 years on email. And Ed Fong is in the corner for our technical support. Thank you, Ed.
Welcome.
And we also have, Tima Davenport. Our Tima Say Davenport just walked in. Just wanted to point her out so that you guys can meet her. We do have public on the line that's on this phone line. So when we roll through public comment, we'll also do anyone in the room before we do phone public comment. So that's the order we're going to go in. So I'm in tune with Justine, who's monitoring the public line, and she'll let me know if somebody wants to speak and on what items. All right.
Okay.
That's everyone.
So one of the things that I did not mention, good morning, Paolo, as well, is that Mike is here and it takes over from Jim Swindler. And we miss him. We understand that he retired at the end of last year. And once again, welcome, Michael, and please give our very best to Jim. It may not be a surprise to you all, but those of us who are lucky enough to chair a committee also have a verbatim script provided for us by Amarette, which is a blessing. Some of us have tried to keep it close to the screen so it doesn't look like we're having to read everything, but it was a blessing. We don't have that anymore. So if you feel as though we're winging it, I am. And with that, I'll move us on to agenda item number 3, which is to approve actions relative to the Golden Gate Bridge Physical Suicide Deterrent System Project. And it's in your packet, pages 3 to 12. Ava, thank you.
Ava, would you like to join us to speak up there? That way.
Oh my.
There?
Yes,
It is a good like
that's the new hot seat.
Yeah.
It is okay. You don't have. There we go.
The staff report under agenda number presents staff recommendations relative to the Golden Gate Bridge Physical Suicide Deterrence System project, project number 1527. This recommendation regarding execution of the Fifth Amendment to Professional Services Agreement number 2018-B82 with TJA Engineering in an amount not to exceed 1,200,000 for continuation of the temporary structures engineering advisor support services for the construction of the project. And second, execution of the amendment to agreement number 16R3540 with the Department of California Highway Patrol in an amount not to exceed 1,280,000 for continuation of the construction zone enhanced enforcement program services. And finally, an increase in the amount of 2,480,000 in the fiscal year 22-23 Bridge Division capital budget for the project to be financed with listed reserves for a revised total project budget of $217,232,868. The extension of both services is necessary because of the delay in completion of the project construction. The contractor has not progressed the work as required by the contract and has informed the district that it will not complete the installation of the majority of the physical suicide deterrence system until the end of 2023 and will not complete the remaining work, mainly fabrication and installation of the new suspension bridge maintenance traveler system and the outstanding portions of the net until mid of 2026. The two agreements that are subject of the staff report are recommended to be amended to cover two important aspects of the district's construction contract administration plan. The first agreement is related to reviews of contractors' work plans for various construction operations that must be implemented on the bridge to build the project. These work plans cover design and procedures for installation of work access platforms on the bridge structures, including calculations verifying that the loads imposed by the work platforms and operations they support will not overload structural elements of the bridge. The district has engaged services of TJA Engineering that possesses expertise in the engineering evaluation of temporary structures, in the evaluation of existing steel bridges, and with knowledge of the Golden Gate Bridge to provide an independent second opinion review of the contractor's designs and work plans. Because of contractor's slow progress in developing work platform designs and work plans, there are a substantial number of work plans and access designs that are outstanding in order to complete the construction, including the net system installation and the traveler rail replacement in span 4 of the suspension bridge, removal of the remaining original maintenance travelers from the suspension bridge, installation of the new maintenance travelers, and the removal of the contractor's access at the end of construction. Staff has reviewed the contractor list of remaining submissions and the contractor's current schedule for delivery of these submissions and has determined that the Fifth Amendment to the TSA with TJA in the amount of $1,200,000 is necessary to finance the extension of the temporary structures engineering advisor support services through at least December 2024. The current authorized PSA budget is estimated to cover the services through the end of this month. The second agreement that is presented in this staff report covers construction zone enhanced enforcement program implementation by CHP during the nighttime lane closures on the bridge and its approaches to improve safety of the public and the workers. Such CHP assistance is used by Caltrans and was used by the district on previous bridge projects, such as seismic retrofit of the approach structures and installation of the movable median barrier. The significantly extended construction time necessitates the proposed extension of such CHP services. There is enough budget to continue with the services through May 2023. Staff has performed an estimate and determined that an amount of $1,280,000 is required to continue financing CHP services through approximately December 2025. And finally, as was previously reported to the committee, by November 2024, the additional time of construction was estimated to increase the cost of contract administration efforts by the engineering staff, consultants, and CHP by about $25,500,000. If this proposed actions are approved by the board, the total cost of increases to date is $13,170,000. And I also would like to mention that we anticipate that we may need to come twice more to the committee and the board for approval because we are evaluating the design services by HMTB that may need some additional budget. Some additional budget may be required by staff. And also the consultant that we have on board to perform the inspections on the bridge. So with this, I'll be happy to answer any question the committee may have for me.
Thank you, Reva, for your wonderful report. Thanks. Any questions of the committee members? Yes, Dick, go ahead.
This means we've been paying the CHP all along for these services?
Yes.
And I certainly support, we need them out there to protect the workers. I'm just curious, I don't need an exact amount, but what's the approximate hourly rate they're charging?
But they charging based on the they pay rates plus overhead and the cost of the vehicle.
And one more, just how long are we going to be continuing to do the night work? Is that going to be extended? Will the night work be necessary for the travelers too, or just finishing the net?
So what I expect that the contractor will, by end of this year, will complete installation of whatever they plan to install in terms of the net installation. And as I mentioned at the previous meeting, they will leave opening near the towers and the south and north pylon just to keep openings for installation of the travelers. I suspect that the on the site construction work may really be rolled back until the contractor fabricates the travelers. But then, when they do removal of the existing travelers and then installation in 2025 and 26, we definitely need assistance of CHP.
Thank you.
If I may, it's about $107 an hour.
Great. Yes, David.
I was going to follow up on the CHP. I think, certainly safety, especially I think we just saw some road workers killed down in Southern California tragically. But is that a discretionary decision by this board or the district, or is it required of some contract work or some other regulatory piece? I'm just curious.
It is certainly discretionary.
Okay.
However, because it's a common practice, If we don't use them, then we may be exposed to liability.
Beyond that, though, it is the best practice. And, worker safety at night is very problematic and challenging. As the night gets later, it gets even more challenging, I dare say. And sadly, this week, there's a half dozen workers killed in Maryland in a single incident.
That's where it was. Sorry.
Yeah, and so it's something that we feel very strongly about, protecting the workers. AVA requires in the specs not just cozy, but that they roll out barriers at night to protect the workers. So if you drive across the bridge at night, you'll see the workers have a physical barrier separating them, not just cones. So it is discretionary, but it is recommended by federal highways, and it is the best practice, and it's something that we feel is very, very important for the men and women of labor who are out there every night building the suicide barrier.
And it's been proven on so many projects it's effective.
Great. Thank you.
Any other questions of the committee? No? I'll entertain a motion then, and we'll combine those three items into one motion.
We'll do public comment first.
Oh, public comment, of course, sorry. See, that script comes in really handy. Become gold otherwise. Go ahead.
It's okay.
Yes.
So we don't have any public comment in the room, but I'm going to ask Justine to poll and let us know in a second. Justine, are there any speakers on your line on the public comment line?
Thank you, Madam Secretary. I would like to poll the line if you don't mind. I believe a few people have joined.
Sure.
Can you just give me a moment. Thank you so much. Good morning. If you've joined and you'd like to speak this morning, please use ** to unmute yourself and let me know. Okay, thank you. I'm not hearing anybody. Thank you.
Thank you. So we have no speakers on the public line as well for item number 3.
Great. So once again, I'll entertain a motion. Thank you, Ava. Move Barb. Second, David and Jim. And we'll do a roll call vote.
All right. Thank you. So we have a first and second on item number 3. So I'm going to start with Director Conroy.
Aye.
Dorsey is absent and Guardio is absent. Garbarino,
Aye.
Giudice,
Yes.
Grosboll,
Yes.
Hernandez.
Aye.
Maston.
Aye.
Moulton Peters is absent. Parr.
Aye.
Rabbit.
Aye.
Rodoni.
Aye.
Safai is absent. Snyder.
Aye.
Stephanie is absent. Fear is absent. Second Vice President Hill.
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran.
Yes.
And President Terrio.
Yes.
All right. Thank you. You have 13 ayes.
Wonderful. That passes unanimously. I'll move us on then to item number 4, to approve actions relative to award of contract number 2022D067, Transportation Statistics Reporting System and Implementation Services to Transite LLC. And I believe we have Ron Downing, our Director of Planning, and Senior Information Systems Manager Karen Williams here. Thank you.
Morning, Chair Garbarino, members of the committee and board members. Karen Williams from the IS department is with me this morning. I'm going to give a little overview of why we're here today, requesting approval of a new transportation statistics reporting system. And Karen is going to go over the more technical details of how the process led us to where we are today. My department in planning is what we call the business owner of our transportation statistics and reporting system. It's currently referred to as Transstat. It is a 20-year-old program that tabulates our transit ridership information, creates monthly reports, creates our what we call canned reports for our submittal to the National Transit Database, and provides data to Marin Transit for their reporting through their system. Transstat was developed 20 years ago. It no longer meets our current day business needs. There are things that are not embedded in Transstat that we would like to have there. 20 years ago, we did not have automatic passenger count data at the stop level. So that data is not in Transstat. We do not have paratransit data in Transstat as well. Because it's a 20-year-old product, there have been a lot of patches over the years. And unfortunately, some of these patches came as a result of staff discovering that we went to look for a weekly average for ridership on a particular route. And Transstat produced a number that we thought was unusually low, only to dig into it that we were asking for averaging on a commute route And Trendstat was creating a 7-day average for that particular route where it should have been 5 days. So again, a host of many, many little patches over the years, and it became a little bit, well, rickety. It's kind of like having a 20-year-old car and you hit the switch for the blinker and the radio comes on. Blinker, sorry about that. That's my Massachusetts roots. The turn signal lever. Jim Swindler would have known what I was talking about. So the recommendation before you today is to award a contract to a firm called Transite, who is locally based in Pleasanton, who will be able to have a bench of people to troubleshoot any issues we have moving forward with the new system. We've been relying heavily on Tony Scott in the IS department. Karen, my staff have worked with Tony to, again, have these little fixes to it over the years. It's kind of at the point where I don't think we can fix it anymore. So I'm going to turn it over to Karen to talk about the process that brought us to where we are today.
Thank you, Ron. So the objective of this project is to implement a replacement solution to improve our business processes, access to and accuracy of data, and our ease of use. As we move to recover from the pandemic, modifications to service must be done in an informed fashion. Having flexible reporting systems and reliable data is more important than ever to be able to make informed decisions. The business intelligence industry has come a long way to provide more robust and flexible reporting solutions out of the box. And notable developments in the transit industry in this space in most recent years are more specific to our industry. So out of the box services can be provided with more advanced technological flexibility. In early 2022, district staff conducted interviews to gather requirements to formulate and publish an RFP in September of 2022. The RFP was for a firm to provide a software solution that could satisfy the reporting needs of the district for NTD, bus and ferry, paratransit, and data exchange with external stakeholders such as Marin Transit. Additionally, we're looking for improved data accuracy and reconciliation of external data points, including Clipper and GFI data. And that would be both internal and external data. The company would also provide project management, documentation, user training, ongoing operations, and support and training. Proposals were received from 3 different firms: East Bank Technologies, located in Washington, D.C., Transite in Pleasanton, California, Transtrack Systems in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. And firms were scored on the ability to meet functional and technical specifications, vendor experience and qualifications, implementation approach, support and maintenance, and last but not least, cost proposal. Transite was selected by the RFP selection committee because it best would meet the needs of the requirements for the services requested by the district. Transite has a cloud-based offering and demonstrated the ability to meet those requirements with minimal customizations. They provided a clearly detailed plan and approach to delivering the software. Additionally, Transite staff and resumes show a deep knowledge of transit data and experience in deployments in over 20 systems in the Bay Area, serving those Bay Area clients for 15 years. They have experience working with over 50 transit operators, including BART, Samtrans, Caltrain, TriMet, and AC Transit. Additionally, staff negotiated pricing, the original contract pricing, resulting in a 4% cost reduction based upon partner contracts between Transite and local agencies. We were really able to reduce that pricing down by 4%. So what is the board or the committee approving today? By approving this item, you'll authorize, number 1, the execution of contract number 2022 D67 with Transite LLC of Pleasanton, California, to implement a new bus and ferry statistical data reporting and analysis system. Secondly, authorize a contingency of $205,814 to make necessary programming or software license adjustments for a not to exceed total amount of $2,352,000. Third, you'll authorize the general manager or their designee to approve amendments to the contract to allow for future years' annual recurring maintenance and support after the 5-year base term and 5 one-year options. The fiscal impact of this proposed contract is a not to exceed amount of $2,352,000. The capital portion of this project is $448,684, funded by Project 2213, Business Intelligence Analysis and Transportation Statistics Reporting Solutions, and was included in the FY 22-23 District Division capital budget in the amount of $1,050,000. The operating expenses for ongoing maintenance and support will be budgeted accordingly in future fiscal years. This concludes our presentation of the agenda item. Ron and I thank you and are available for questions.
Great. Yes, questions and discussion of the committee. Jim?
So if we approve this today, what's the installation time?
About 9 months.
About 9 months. And will there be a need for a phase out of Transtat and a phase in of Transite? And if so, are they going to need to work together? And if that's the case, have they worked together before?
Did you want to answer?
Oh, go ahead.
So Transtat is a homegrown application. We have one software engineer that supports the application, as well as a team on the infrastructure side that manages all the back end. So we have all of the internal data that we currently use now for Transtat, GFI, and Clipper data in our own internal data warehouse. That individual developer will be working with Transite and also come to be the primary support liaison between our IS staff as well as Transite.
Okay.
Yes,
Thank
we
you.
will work together.
So basically, it comes from the same data source, our own internal data warehouse.
Internal.
would
Okay.
feed both programs. So we would probably have some parallel before they
Yes,
cut over.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Okay, Dick, go ahead.
I know these weren't part of your 5 factors, but I do want to compliment you for selecting a Bay Area firm as also one that has 100% DBE. We don't get many opportunities to do both of those, so thank you.
Anyone else, Mike?
Yeah, just a clarification. We are authorizing the general manager to be able to take action on this contract, not just after the 5 years, but after the 5 additional years. Subject, of course, to inclusion and approval in the budget. Is that right? Never entirely comfortable with that, but there are limitations on that make it, I guess, okay. All right.
Yeah, Bruce.
Yeah, just for curiosity, is the information that they're deriving sometime in the future coming from cell phones within the vehicles?
No.
Okay, so they're still staying away from that. Okay, curious. As a source of data, that's why I was curious if we're looking at that.
We're just catching up with our existing sources of data, like the automatic passenger counter data.
Yes.
I'm always out there, you know that.
Yeah, no, yes, very much.
Anyone else? Seeing no one, the public, is there anyone out there in the public that wants to comment on this item?
Well, we have no one in the room to speak for public comment. Justine, would you have anyone on the line that would like to speak under item number 4?
We have nobody for public comment for item 4. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. Wonderful. Then I'll entertain a motion.
So move.
Okay. Is there a second? Thank you, Jim. And a roll call vote.
Thank you. We have a first and second voting on item number 4, starting with Director Conroy. Dorsey is absent. Ingardio is absent. Garbarino.
Aye.
Giudice.
Yes.
Grosbold.
Yes.
Hernandez. Aston.
Aye.
Moulton Peters is absent. Parr.
Aye.
Rabbit.
Aye.
Berdoni.
Aye.
Safai is absent. Snyder.
Aye.
Stephanie is absent. Theo is absent. Second Vice President Hill,
Yes.
First Vice President Cochran,
Yes.
and President Serio.
Yes.
Thank you. You have 13 ayes.
That passes unanimously. And I will move us on then to the status report from the board appointees to the Sonoma Marin Area Rail Board. So that's the SMART report. And I know that falls in my court, but I'd love to share the responsibility with David and Barbara. I think things are going quite well. As a matter of fact, Eddie is speaking this morning before the North Bay Leadership Council and giving the good word about how well things are doing. We continue to grow in our ridership, which is wonderful. Rain has held us back a little bit, but the Brazos branch is now completed, that piece of the rail that went out due to flooding, as I recall. And we had a significant report on where we are financially with freight. And trying to grow that community of customers as well to make that investment worthwhile. I even added a personal comment that several of us met with Farhad Mansourian back in the day and talked about rail of transport of waste at some time on the SMART rails. That was only after
her actual comment was, if you'll haul anything, I'm into trash.
Yeah, I know. Somebody had made some modestly desperate comment about needing to find something to haul. And that's when I felt like I could make a private comment about that, but it was not self-serving at all. The Santa Rosa community meetings still happen. All good and wonderful stuff. Like you'll remember in February, there was, help me with this, February to get people on the train to go to a brewery. And we enjoyed as well at our board meeting. And we are now, by the way, meeting monthly, not twice per month. This was from February 15th, shared the Valentine's Day video with us. So that was all good news.
We elected a new chair and vice chair. Eric Lucan, supervisor from Novato, is the new chair. And Melanie Bagby from Cloverdale is the vice chair. Ridership is up. I think Patty mentioned that. I do have a little story. This morning, I'm sitting in traffic trying to get on 101 coming from Napa. And I look over and a SMART train is flying by me. And I'm thinking, let's spend more time on that first and last mile and see how to get me from Larkspur to the bridge. You know, it's going to be a stretch. And there was also a really nice article in the IJ by Dick Spotswood on SMART and what a good job SMART is doing.
Great. Any other comments on SMART?
We did plant some corn seed in the wetlands down by Shellville with we did have a derailment, and the derailment on the freight train, and I think was associated with the floods and I forget the technical term, but the tracks went out, the car went down over, but it's all cleaned up. And going forward, the freight discussion I think was interesting because the freight discussion with the state was also interesting that SMART should take it over, which I think we totally support. I certainly do, since I think the only operators that we have or customers are in Petaluma, and a lot of them have to do with animal feed, and Lagunitas is one of them, the brewery. But our future for freight is really probably not hauling that much more. It's parking cars, which is what we did with the propane cars in Shellville until we moved them out. And that exposed a bit of a financial gap that we're trying to deal with now going forward. So I thought that was kind of an interesting take on the future of rail in the North Bay.
David, I have a question. Is there any chance there in the future we're going to tie into the national rail system? Or?
Oh, we already are.
We are.
We already are through Shellville. And
Shellville.
I forget the. Yeah, but I forget which carrier.
That place in Napa.
Yeah, so we already are, and that's great. I mean, so everything that's delivered into Petaluma basically originates far east. It comes through on other carriers, and then we pick it up and bring it through. So I think that's always been in the works, or always been working. That piece of track, we did some emergency work on a bridge. There's some vulnerable bridges in there that need additional work. They've done some good assessments on and are looking for different funds to make sure the infrastructure is okay. That and the Highway 37 rising bay level, all those issues as well. So SMART is a member of the Highway 37 consortium, which hopefully will bring that forward and solve that problem for the railroad as well as the highway.
And back in the day, the former operator in the county of Napa did haul waste out of the county, up the state, out of state as well. So it's not necessarily pie in the sky, although it's not really pie either. So it's a thought. And yeah, the storage was something that brought a great deal of revenue to offset the freight service. I have the report and I'll pass it if anybody would like to see it. And as I mentioned last month, I have this calendar, so I'll send it that way, and wherever it stops, it's yours. It's just delightful. Isn't it great? Done by residents at Cedars Home for the Developmentally Disabled. Any questions then of the committee again? Okay, any public comment on the SMART report?
We have no speakers in the room. And Justine, do you have any speakers for public comment on item number 5?
We do not. Thank you for asking.
Okay, wonderful. That item does not require a vote. So I'll move us on to item number 6, status report on engineering projects, which you will find in your packet on pages 19 to pages 66. And Ava's here, our chief engineer, to give that report. Thank you.
Thank you. Madam Chair, members of the committee, my written report is before you, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Lovely. Do we have any questions of Ava at all? No? Wonderful report. Thank you. Very satisfactory. Right. There you go. All good. Any public comment then on Ava's report?
We have no one in the room again, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask Justine, do you have any speakers for item number 6 or under item number 7 for public comment?
I would appreciate it if you just let me pull the room one last time.
Okay, sure. Well, let's see if we can have any catch-all. Let's go one more time for public comment.
Perfect.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you so much. If you've joined and you'd like to speak this morning under public comment, please use ** to unmute yourself and let me know. Okay, I'm not hearing anybody. Thank you.
All right, thank you. So we have no public speakers.
No public speakers. And with that, I will move us on to item number 8, which of course is the motion to adjourn. Look for a motion.
So moved.
And a second. I was worried you might not want to put an end to this meeting. Thank you.
Go on forever.
Yeah, do go on forever. Yeah. And I assume that passes unanimously, and how I missed the script. But thank you so much for the chart. All
right,
good.
thank
Thank you,
you.
everyone.
9:42.